Okay, good morning, everybody. We are going through our maamar, our second maamar from this series. Very, very, very exciting. We are hoping, Mitzvah Hashem, to finish it today. We will then have a furthering tomorrow and get started on our new maamar, Pesach Hashem, on Sunday. So we did lots of fun Kabbalistic discussions, we'll call it that, yesterday, and we went on this whole beautiful explanation about the difference, or we started at least, the difference between Kriyas Yam Suf, what's going to happen, or what happened at Kriyas Yam Suf in relation to like the, deep meaning behind it, and not only that, but now we're going to continue to explain what's actually going to happen during the splitting of the seas, as we explained at the beginning of this whole thing. When Mashiach comes, it's going to be a different style. And at the end of this, Pesach Hashem, we'll be able to answer the question which the maamar started with, which is, if when Mashiach comes, it's going to be so much greater, why are we still connecting it in one way or another to Kriyas Yam Suf? So, right, so yesterday we explained, one second, let me just, so yesterday we finished off, and as you can tell with both maamarim, that the Rebbe gave us something within our davening that we can associate with this, and actually from that point on, every time I say Shema with my kids, or even when I say Shema in my own davening, I think, and I'm like, wow, like we really, and I've been living with it. And so to here, this maamar gave us this concept that the two paragraphs, Ezra's Havisenu and Ezra's, the two paragraphs right after Shema, between the Shema and Shema Esrei, both of them, each one of them has 4 mentions of the word emes, which means a total of 8 mentions. And we explained that 4 usually represents the concept of Havaya, Yud and a K, and a Vav and a K. So being that each one of them has 4, they both represent the higher level of Havaya and the lower level of Havaya, which is very, very, very important to note, because when Kriyas Yam Suf happened, we only got a revelation, we only got a taste of the lower level of Havaya, which is this concept of Seder Stalshus, right? When it says it split the waters, it means it split all the kav, like the entire Seder Stalshus, all the way through. That's why it was a hard miracle for the Eibusher to do, not because it was picking up water. The Eibusher can pick up water, that's not a big deal. But so too, it took a lot to so to speak, break this nature that the Eibusher created, which is splitting the entire Seder Stalshus, and the world below it got a taste of the world above it. So we got a taste of we terrestrial beings got a taste of aquatic beings that are so connected to their source, and each one, each level, Asiya and Atzilus and Yetzia and Bria, and all of them got a taste of the world above it. Okay, so that's what happened then. But that in of itself is just the lower level of Havaya, right? So Havaya has 2. Havaya is 4 and 4. Well, really it's just 4, but I'm saying in this explanation within the maamar, it's the 4 letters of Havaya and the 4 letters of Havaya, which represents the 2 separate levels of Havaya. So each one of them, the lower one, is representative of Seder Stalshus and the actual process it takes to create the world. And the higher level of Havaya is Hashem's desire for even creating a world, which is really, really cool, because we're able to learn something very practical, as we always do with Living Chassidus. We try and learn practical lessons from it, that there's a very big difference between your desire to accomplish something or your desire to acquire something than the actual process of creating it. I mean, I know some of you right now are artists, and the first thing that comes is a desire to create, whether it's a desire to create a specific photo or specific painting, or it's a desire to create something that is coming out of you, that is bursting out of you. Then comes the actual process of, okay, now what colors do I pull out? Where do I place this tree, or where do I place this, flower petal, and what colors should they be, and how do they blend, and all of that stuff is a whole separate level. The desire is a first level, and the actual process of creating is a separate level. So during Kriyas Yam Suf, we got a taste, we got a beautiful appreciation for the process with which the Eibishter created us, and we got a taste for the Seder Shtalshlus. But when Mashiach comes, we'll get both levels of Havaya. We'll get the level of how the Eibishter creates us, and we will get an appreciation and a taste, I guess you would call it, for Hashem's just his pure desire to create us, just his pure desire to create not just us as Yidden, but also the entire world as a whole. So once we are able to understand that, we're able to get a nice taste of it in our davening. When we're davening, we say, wow, these are 4, and there's the last 4, and now we're preparing ourselves for this level of Mashiach, and we'll get the taste of both, and we'll get an appreciation for both levels of Hashem's, both levels of Havaya, so to speak. Now, we finished off with that, and we are right now on page 102. We are at the last paragraph on the page, on the regular text, not in the footnotes. And again, I'm going to read through it so we get the full extent, and then we're going to explain what each of those things means so that we can understand the context as well. Okay? So we're in the last paragraph, which starts with, this is the meaning. This is the meaning of the pasuk written in conjunction with the future redemption. On that day, living waters will emerge from Yerushalayim. Half of them will flow to the eastern sea, ... Okay, so there's more to the pasuk. I don't think it gets quoted in here. No, it doesn't actually get quoted in here, like the full pasuk. But, okay, so on that day, the living waters will emerge from Yerushalayim, right? Half of them will flow to the eastern sea. The Yerushalayim mentioned in this pasuk refers to the souls of the Jewish nation, which again we're going to discuss in a minute. Okay, let's cover that ground first, actually. Okay, so we just said that in comparison to Kriyas Yam Suf, when Mashiach comes, living waters will emerge from Yerushalayim. And not only that, but half of them will flow to the eastern sea. I don't know if you guys remember, I hope you guys remember, we discussed this a few shirim ago, that the eastern sea represents this level of chachma, right? The level of the level of ein sof, which is above. And again, I'm making physical, motions with my hands, but in reality, this is not a physical thing, right? But just so we can understand it with our perspective. So the concept of ein sof, which I use, one of the mashalim that I use is kind of like Play-Doh, right? So let's say you have a big batch of Play-Doh, and in order to create from that Play-Doh, you have to open up a space within, the massive chunk of Play-Doh that you have. You have to open up a space. In that space, you take that Play-Doh and you reintroduce it as separate entities, okay? And then you can make little menchies and the little, I clearly deal with kids all day, but little menchies and a car, and, you can make all those separate beings. Everything within it is actually made of the same Play-Doh. But outside of it is that ginormous chunk of the original Play-Doh before it got metamtzim, cut and shaped into the separate pieces. Okay? So you take this ginormous amount, and that in of itself, it's called ein sof. The original aspect of godliness is called ein sof, right? And from that ein sof, we take it, and there's a little step which is called keser, which is kind of like this middle ground. As we said, Keser and Malchus have a relationship because they're both funnels, right? Keser is up here and Malchus is down here. They're both funnels that take something which is ginormous, such as Ein Sof, and then it transforms it into the next. And then within each world, there's a Malchus. There's a Keser and a Malchus and a Keser and a Malchus and a Keser and a Malchus that flows down through all the way till we have a creation, which is us as separate entities, me and water bottle and the book and the pen are all separate entities. So all that happened through this progression, right? So the when we say the Eastern Sea, it represents Ein Sof. So 1 second, let's take a moment and look back at it and say, on that day, meaning when Mashiach comes, the living waters will emerge from Yerushalayim, and half of them will flow to the Eastern Sea. How can there be something Yerushalayim, which is flowing, half of it, only half of it, let's say, is flowing into the Eastern Sea? I thought we said that the Eastern Sea is Ein Sof, right? So now, let's take a moment and let's understand this deeply, a little bit more deeply. Where is that one? Okay. So we have footnote. Okay, let's finish off. Okay, let's finish the line and then we'll understand footnote 132. Okay. The Yerushalayim mentioned in this pasuk refers to the shamas of the Jewish nation. Okay, so we said that the waters are going to flow from Yerushalayim, and now we're about to explain what that means. And then they're going to flow half of it into the Eastern Sea, which is Ein Sof. So 132, as you can see on the bottom of page 103, footnote 132. The Hebrew word for Yerushalayim is comprised of two words, Yira and Shalim, complete fear. Shalim means complete, and Yira means fear, so it means complete fear. Yerushalayim, complete fear. The souls of the Jewish people are called Yerushalayim because they possess a full-fledged fear of God, as it says in the Kotei Torah, Shir Shirim, that we are given, we are already made with this concept of Yira for the Eibuster. The Kabbalistic counterpart of the Eastern Sea, as we discussed in footnote 70 earlier above, the primordial sea refers to Chachma, right? We discussed this Chachma, the first of the 10 spheres. Since these living waters will emerge from Yerushalayim and flow into the primordial sea, it follows that they represent a higher level than represented by the sea. Since Yerushalayim is a reference to the Jewish nation, it follows that the Jewish nation will then be on a level beyond Chachma. Okay, so let's take a moment. Eastern Sea means Ein Sof, or means the Chachma of Ein Sof, which, again, we discussed it earlier, but let's just call it Ein Sof or Chachma for now. Okay, so it's this great aspect of like a ginormous chunk of the Eibuster, which is all, and it's all the Eibuster, but as we said before, it got put into the Kav, right? So that's what our Ein Sof, that's what this Chachma represents, right? So now we take a moment and we say, how can it be that the souls of the Yidden, which we said Yerushalayim is representative of the souls of the Yidden, when Mashiach comes, the souls of the Yidden, it's going to flow, water is going to flow from the neshamas of the Yidden to feed, at least half of it is going to feed Or Ein Sof, it's going to feed this level of Chachma. How does that make sense? So we can understand this by explaining, by remembering the beginning of the Maamar, which said that Kriyas Yam Suf did something. Sorry about that, my internet went down, but we are back on. Okay. Sorry, we're literally in the middle of this huge thing. Okay. So basically, as we said, that Kriyas Yam, a Jew's soul comes from Yerushalayim, so to speak, it's hinted at in Yerushalayim, which is Yira and Shalim, complete fear. We are endowed, we are born with this like innate fear and this innate appreciation, not fear like, I mean, you can choose to do that, but it's like awe, it's an appreciation, it's a greatness, it's a wow, like awesomeness for the Eibuster. And because we have that, when Mashiach comes, our neshama will be raised even higher. It'll go to an even higher place than Ein Sof. Okay, and from our fear, from our neshamas, will flow this concept. It will flow into Chachma, into this level of Chachma. It's a little whatever, but I hold you were able to hold cup with the idea. The Jews achieved such a revelation. Sorry, we're on the footnote, still on the footnote on page 104. The Jews achieved such a revelation already at the time of the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, as explained above in page 94, 96. However, in the future era, Mashiach comes, they will reach an even higher level beyond the higher level of Havaya, as explained above, right? So when Mashiach comes, it will be even higher than that higher level of Havaya which we got. So our souls will be just like at Kriyas Yamsuf, our soul got elevated to the point that a malach had to walk behind us because our soul reached the point of Keser. And so too, when Mashiach comes, it'll be even higher than the highest level of Havaya. Okay, hope you guys followed with that. Now, page 104, back on the Maamar text. In a similar sense, okay, the Maggid of Mizrich would often quote the pasuk. Now, what does Hashem want from you other than to fear the Lord your God, which is in the original is le'yira kecha. Okay, so he would further say that it is not necessary to explain that the word to fear the Lord your God refers to drawing Or Ein Sof into Malchus. Okay, because remember we said that as high and as mighty and as amazing as Kriyas Yamsuf was, as high and mighty and amazing as Yetzias Mitzrayim was, at that point, the Eibishter still took us out, but he did it through the level of Malchus. Just like there's this great amount of electricity going through the wires around your house, through your walls, but in order to put it into a charger, in order to put it into your phone, you have to plug in this charger and then connect the charger to the phone. So the Eibishter himself, greatness, came to take us out of Mitzrayim, but at the same time, he did it through this level of Malchus to be able to relate to us human beings. Okay, so here we're saying that happened at Yetzias Mitzrayim, but it doesn't have to happen, according to the Maggid of Mizrich's teaching, that it doesn't have to go, Or Ein Sof does not need to go into Malchus in order to be able to, or when Mashiach comes, when that happens, Or Ein Sof is not going to need to go through Malchus, which again, as we discussed before, that the difference between the names Havaya, which is this level of Seder Shtalshlus and the desire of the Eibishter, versus the level of the name Elokim. Elokim is this level of Malchus, or it's this level of nature, Teva, right? So we won't need to go. The Eibishter will have this appreciation, and the Eibishter is going to take us out of Galus. It won't need to happen through a lower level world. It is going to be the full extent, the full revelation of the Eibishter himself. 1 second, let's read footnote 133. In other words, just as the Maamar has explained, just as the Maamar has explained that in the future, the souls of the Jewish nation will reach a higher level beyond Havaya and beyond Chachma, likewise, the Maggid of Mizrich taught that each and every Jewish soul must work towards rising to a loftier level, one where godliness is revealed within the soul, right? So what are we doing now? We are working on ourselves. We're refining our neshamas. We're working to appreciate chassidus. We're working to appreciate our avodah. We're working on ourselves, which hint, tonight we're going to do a kickoff for an amazing program. So get excited and get ready for it, because that's a sense of working on ourselves. And when we work on ourselves, we'll be able to lift our neshamas to such a level. Back into the Maamar, right? So we're by the word where it says rather it can be explained in a more straightforward sense, right? So it won't need to go through Malchus. It could be explained in a more straightforward sense, with the emphasis on Elokecha, your Elokim. Each person must draw the light of Keser into the spark of godliness found within themselves, namely their godly soul, which is the actual portion of God, right? So each of us have this nefesh elokis within us, and we need to try and connect and relate to our nefesh elokis in a way that we're able to connect to that level of Keser. So every time we learn, every time we daven, every time we connect, we can have this level of love and appreciation and this level of kind of like the previous Maamar and this Maamar that we have during our davening. We could come and we can think about how we can go beyond our level, we can break through our limitations. We can push ourselves just a little bit more to be able to relate and to have this deep love for the Eibishter. And through that, we're able to connect. We're able to so to speak, raise up to a certain extent and raise up and draw down and connect to this level of Keser to our Nefesh Elokis. The future splitting of the sea will be much greater than the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, which is Kriyas Yam Suf. So when Mashiach comes, the splitting of the sea, when Mashiach comes, will be much greater than Kriyas Yam Suf, as the latter merely reflects the level of Iskafia, right? So Iskafia is holding back. It's taking something, for example, if we want to sleep in extra and it won't give us enough time to daven before we have to start our... Okay, I think Mashiach is about to come because everything right now is stopping us from finishing this maamar. Now that phone died. Okay, continuing on. So, to finish this off, it reflects Iskafia of holding, of saying, I'm going to hold back from my Yetzer Hara. I'm going to hold back from hold my Yetzer Hara back from from pushing me to do the wrong thing, and encouraging me and then take that effort and over, which is the second level. But Iskafia is basically saying, okay, I have a desire that is not so positive, but I'm going to hold back from doing it. However, right, so in Kriyas Yam Suf, the level that we live in now, this level of Gullus that we live in now, our main purpose, or not purpose, but our main thing that we work on is holding back. But, however, Hashem derives, however, Hashem derives a unique pleasure specifically from our victory over evil. So, right now, even though this is what we're working on, and by the way, it doesn't mean that you can't work on overturning. Of course, we're meant to. We're meant to work on Ishapcha. So just FYI. But this unique pleasure, Hashem has a unique pleasure specifically from our victory over evil. So don't beat yourself down. I was reading Positivity Bias today, and one of the most beautiful things was that even when we make a mistake, it's the Eibishter's way of helping us reconnect to Him. If we stayed connected, we wouldn't have had this desire to do tshuva. So it's a very beautiful thing to have to so to speak, struggle with our struggles and win. Or even sometimes we lose, but then we pick ourselves up and we say, okay, next time I'm going to win. Again, tonight we're going to start a program about how to struggle with our struggles, and it's going to be very, very amazing, or how to beat our struggles. For this reason, the splitting of the Sea of Reeds has an advantage, as through our efforts of suppressing the forces of evil, the glory of God is revealed in all worlds. Footnote 140. This answers the question asked at the beginning of the maamar, right? So at the beginning we asked if the future redemption will be much more wondrous than Yetzias Mitzrayim. Why does the pasuk extol? Why does it say such beautiful things? Or why are we even comparing it to? Why does the pasuk extol the future splitting of the sea by comparing it to the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, right? So if when Mashiach comes is going to be so much greater, why are we even connecting it to the previous? To the Kriyas Yam Suf? The answer is that the splitting of the Sea of Reeds has the advantage associated with Iskafia. It is therefore used as a way of extolling the splitting of the future to evoke an era of greatness, to evoke in that era the greatness of our achievements in Iskafia and exile. So as much as when Mashiach comes is going to be even greater than Kriyas Yam Suf, but in reality, the fact that now we live with this level of Iskafia, and we have to deal with struggles, we have to deal with our hardships, but we beat them, we still go above them, as we said in the last maamar. And at this point, we're learning how to live with that concept consistently, that we're able to live and it's a beautiful thing that we struggle, but we win. And so therefore, even though when Mashiach comes, we're going to move to the level of Ishapcha, completely overturned. Everything's going to be overturned for the good, but at the same time, there's going to be a sweetness that we can appreciate from our struggles now. So don't be put down by the fact that we struggle in our world. May we merit to see the fulfillment of the psukim. A staff will emerge for the stump of Yishai, and a sapling will flourish from his roots, which both of these are hints to Mashiach, David Malka Mashiach. The spirit of Hashem will rest upon him. They, meaning the animals, will not harm nor destroy throughout my holy mountain. And the holy mountain is representative of the entire Eretz Yisrael, which the whole world is going to be Eretz Yisrael, with the future and complete redemption. Wow. Mazel tov, we did it. And now we can get an appreciation for how amazing our life is at this point, that we have we have struggles, and we're working towards having an appreciation for the Eibishter and connecting our neshama to this level of kesser, that we can go above and beyond what our above and beyond this whole level of Seder Stalshus. And every time we learn and every time we daven, we have a higher level. We have this amazing appreciation for the Eibishter. And through that, we're able to work on the concept of Iskafia. And Iskafia means getting up and joining this share. So kol hakavod to everybody who joins and everybody that listens to the recording. And through all of this, we're able to appreciate how beautiful Kriyas Yamsuf was, and that's how we can learn and we can appreciate the beauty as well when Mashiach, even higher level. So how amazing it was then, it's going to be even more amazing when Mashiach comes. May we see that full revelation right now with the splitting of all the seas and the drying up of the ocean of Egypt. And may we have all the brachas and all the revealed clarity of Mashiach right now. Chaim and Mazel Tov.